Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
Well, hey, Griff. Hey, John. Gary Spikes. Val. Denise. We got Rebecca. Crystal. Well, hello there, everybody. Rosemary. Everybody on the Things Network, welcome for tuning in. Welcome to another edition. We got Christopher. What do you say there, Christopher? How you doing tonight there, buddy?
I'm doing just fine, Chris.
Oh, doing wonderful. So how was your week there, kind sir?
My week was fantastic. Plenty of work, plenty of cases going on, and tonight we're going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, and a mysterious topic, Mel's Hole. Not Mel's Diner, but Mel's Hole.
Yeah, so I'm going to set the stage for you there, Christopher, right? And so it's a very fascinating subject. And very fascinating, and it goes back to 97, and a lot of people is kind of fascinating about the subject, and there's quite a few pictures that's strumming around out there on the internet, and quite a few photographs and actual news articles about this subject, right? And
Exactly.
And I think it was about 15 years ago, something. It's about a mythical bottomless hole somewhere in Manastash Ridge near Ellison, out in Washington. It's if you ask local people about it today, you get a tale that involves paranormal activity, government conspiracies, dead animals that comes back to life. Some people say they're skeptical about it. A lot of people will roll their eyes and say it's not true. A lot of other people say it's just a myth, but they won't tell you the exact location about it. And that's what's very interesting. But however it may be, but John Howe is a very well-respected state geologist, actually knows where the real hole exists. And he actually has been there. So it actually started on February 21st, I think, in 1997.
Yep.
When a man identified himself as Mel Waters of the Ellensburg area, I think, appeared on my favorite show, Coast to Coast with Art Bell. At the time was a nationally syndicated AM talk show, right? We all know it's a frequently quirky, alien, and conspiracy-filled story show we all love to listen to. But Waters, in a lengthy conversation with Bell by phone, was talking about a mysterious hole in the ground on his rural property about 9 miles west of Ellensburg on a federal government agency's land. And this is what's interesting, with no explanation to where the hole is dangerously threat to important to, however, I think he said national security. Now, why is that national security, right? And also, he alleged to down aircraft. Now, Waters also claimed that federal agents forced him to lease the land to the government. The lease payments that he claimed on the air allowed him to move to Australia, he said. That's what he claimed on the air. I think from his interview, Water also said that the hole had paranormal properties, despite that locals have dumped their garbage there for years because it was bottomless. They also tossed in their loved ones. When I say loved ones, we're talking about their pets. and also the remains of their carcasses of their hunted animals, deers and so forth. But what was weird, though, is Waters also talked about Central Washington University, where his wife worked. He said that lowered a weight with a fishing line down the hole where he ran, I think, several reels of more than 80,000 feet without it ever touching the bottom.
Yep.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand the largest hole on the face of the earth, I think, is in Russia, which is 49,234 feet, I think. Somebody fact check me. I haven't looked it up in years. Is that right?
I believe it is, yes, very much.
So now he knew that the mine shaft in the world at the time was 12,672 feet, I think. So now the DNR knew about this, but what was weird, though, Bell said that there was Sasquatch, UFOs, and other stuff going on around on his property. Is that not right?
That is true. He claimed that. He claimed to see UFOs and he claimed to see Sasquatch.
So there, Christopher, the stage is set. Take it away.
All right, we're going to hear some very interesting information. I guarantee you, folks, you're going to hear some facts that you did not ever knew even existed about Mel's Hole. Okay, so first of all, it's an intriguing story if you haven't already figured it out. So you might wonder whether Mel's Hole is real or not. Well, because of Mel Waters and whether there are any deep holes in the Ellensburg area, let's dive deep into the urban legend of Mel's Hole. To understand why this story of Mel's Hole has been so enduring, you first have to understand the popularity of Art Bell. At its peak, the show claimed a nightly listenership of over 15 million people, which is higher than today's most popular TV shows.
That is correct.
As noted earlier, Art Bell's show delved into a mixture of supernatural and conspiratorial themes. Tune in for a night and you could expect to hear anything from Bigfoot sightings to secret government programs to UFOs to paranormal. It was a call-in show where listeners could share bizarre tales. Now, the most hair-raising segments, such as a frantic caller claiming to reveal the secrets of Area 51, became iconic and obsessed over by Bell's legions of fans. If callers revealed outrageous tales and sounded believable, their stories often sped into the culture beyond Bell's devoted fan base. Okay, so Mel claimed he used to be close to professionals, shark fishermen, and had dropped enough 5,000 fishing spools down the hole, Mel's Hole. He estimated that hole was at least 80,000 feet deep. The hole has no echo, and its pets were afraid to approach it. He also claimed there were talks with Central Washington universities to study the hole. He also claimed that there were talks with, it was said that the neighbors used to throw garbage down the hole, and after a neighbor threw his deceased dog down the hole, it was later spotted alive, supposedly, nearby in the woods. Waters claimed that the hole had a steel door and they installed a wall surrounding it. Mel also said it was his will that he wanted to be thrown down the well if he were to pass away. Listening to this segment, the person claiming to be Mel was incredibly well spoken, which in part of what added to the allure of the story. He was cautious about some of the supposed supernatural elements of the hole, while expressing amazement when told his would make it the deepest hole in the world. Simply put, the person calling in as Mel Waters was a great storyteller. However, follow-up calls would leave even more into the paranormal. In another call, just a few days later, Mel claimed the military had blocked off access road to the hole, and offered a generous offer to his property. Mel ended up calling back to Art Bell's show 3 times in 2000 and twice in 2002. He claimed that he accepted the generous offer from the U.S. government and was paid $250,000 per month for the government to lease his land, at which time he moved to Australia. However, from this point on, his stories became even more frantic. Waters told an elaborate tale of government abduction, said his wife disappeared, and claimed the government removed his land from the satellite images. And he insisted he was invited to a second hole in Nevada. This second hole had the ability to transform creatures, and he even said that he even told a long story about a sheep entering the hole and producing a strange creature with paranormal healing activity. Now, did Mel Waters exist? The short answer is that there is no record of Mel Waters having lived in the area near Ellensburg, Washington. There is also no record of his wife having worked at the nearby University of Central Washington. Now, of course, the name Mel Waters could have been just sort of a joke, or whoever was calling Art Bell expressed clear knowledge that the area and was likely a local. There may be a hole in the area that spawned the original story, where follow-up tales that became more frantic in nature became increasingly fabricated. Okay, after the appearance on Art Bell, a team of enthusiasts held annual expeditions searching for Mel's home. While they searched for many years, they have never been able to document sightings of a hole that matches the description of Mel's hole. Beyond enthusiasts, several TV shows and crews have searched for Mel's hole and documented little evidence. Experts say a hole even a fraction as deep as Mel's holes would be geologically impossible. Now, Mel's hole is located on the ridge, which is approximately at the coordinates of 46,085 mil. It's a large number. I can't pronounce it, but it's about 9 miles west of the city of Ellensburg, Washington. Now, do we have proof of that? I need to once again note that no one has actually identified Mel's home at this location, approximately from descriptions where Mel Waters identified it. However, there might be one hole that could be the inspiration for Mel's home. A geologist from the Department of Natural Resources in Washington believes a now abandoned gold mine shaft could have been the inspiration for Mel's home. It sits near the description of Mel's home. It fits the description of Mel's home and it is a circular hole that goes deep into the earth. Unfortunately, this hole is fairly ordinary from the mining hole and is less than 300 feet deep. That's certainly deep enough to be a point of curiosity, but it's nothing like the incredible bottomless pit of Mel's hole. Now, in 2008, a local First Nations man by the name of Red Elk spoke with a great deal about Mel's home. He mirrored Mel Waters' claim by stating that Mel's hole set fire to ice lowered into it. So apparently ice was lowered into the hole and was set fire. However, he went further stating that a sheep was lowered into the hole and just cooked alive, only that it almost vanished. A fetus of a seal was dropped into the hole and also vanished. He claimed Mel's hole was the site of a secret base mandated by the United States Army, where they listed with alien life. From he was unable to locate the very hole in which he spoke of. This was even when he led an expedition of 30 curious seekers to the purported site in 2002. Okay, so for years, news of this mysterious wonder spread fear and wide and far, bringing people to the region to verify the presence of such a phenomenon. A local self-described mechanics man named Red Elk later confirmed its existence in 2008 and sealed the mystery into the annals of strange sight and unexplained phenomenon. Rumor has it the U.S. government purchased the land to protect its secrets and has gone so far as to block out the area on Google Maps. Alien activity and government cover-ups aside, we invite you to take a journey into the hills and experience the now famous hole, if you could find it, that has attracted so many to the region, looking for answers while finding only more questions. So when you go to try to find Mel's hole, you're left with more questions. Nobody's actually, as far as I can tell, nobody's actually located Mel's hole, although people claim to have seen it. But
So I actually have a newspaper article from the Daily Record. It has Red Elk in it, and it says Red Elk, medicine man interviewed by Seattle's Como TV station about Mel's Hole in February, recently said that he would be the last time he takes the media out on Manitasha Road for an interview about the Mel's Hole and show the TV crew the hole. So he actually has taken people out there to the hole. He also said in past interviews out there on the site, he has visited the hole several times and it's dangerous, he says. He also says, don't look for it, stay away. I have to say, it's been burned by you guys, the media and all you, many times with this Mel's Hole. They make me out to be a liar. He's referring to the government. This is one thing they do. This is something else, Red Elk said recently. The government has carefully camouflaged it with cover to look like the surrounding land, so it cannot be found. He said it's indicated to lead to an underground shadow government facility and stay away. And it's the last time he has ever seen or done another interview with the media. Interesting.
very interesting. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a screen share. I'm going to show you a photo of Mel's Hole before we go any further. And for those of you who are wondering what Mel's Hole looks like, well, it's like a bottomless pit. You're going to see that here in just a second as I bring that up. I've had a couple of photos here. We'll do this one first. And there was even reports of a dog that was dropped into the hole and then later returned alive.
Sounds like Pet Cemetery, doesn't it?
Exactly. So let me do a screen share here, and we will show you a photo of the hole for the presets and share screen. And get ready, folks. This is a photo of a bottomless pit, I guess you could call it. And that is the supposed Mel's Hole. So if you drop a fishing line down there, it'll go on and on forever. There's no bottom to the hole, which makes you wonder, where does the hole lead to if it is bottomless? Or could it be a portal to another dimension? Who knows?
I wonder what made that.
It is very mysterious, because you got to wonder how long it's been in existence, or has it been here? Has it been on Earth forever? We may never know. All right, we'll do a stop share, and then we should be back now. Let's see. So long before anyone ever heard of Mel Waters, people in Ellensburg were talking about a hole so deep it wouldn't fill up. Jay Nichols, a man of 34 years old who grew up in Ellensburg, remembers a hole about the size of a ridge where a teenager, he and his buddies, rode dirt bikes. On a few occasions, they came across a hole that sounded like Mel's hole, too deep to see the bottom, and rocks hurled down. It made no sound. Amongst snow riders, talks. It is of a hole up on the mountain ridge. So, anyways, Rodney, who works at a snowmobile dealership in town, wouldn't give his last name, said a hole on the ridge, or at least the story of one, has been common knowledge in town for decades. Lots of people talk about it. He said it could be something out there, but I've never seen it. So it could be something there, but he says he's never seen it. But we do know it exists because people have claimed to have seen Mel's hole, so it definitely does exist. But I'm wondering, how far down does it go, and is there an end to it? And move on here. Ask a scientist about Mel's hole, and you'll likely be laughed at. Tell a date you want to trapeze around the snow with a guy who believes in. Anyways, I'm getting my words mixed up here, but we do know Mel's hole does exist, and because people claim to actually have been there, and I do believe it does exist. We're going to do another screen share here for everybody. This is another photo here. Let me bring this up, and this
Hold
shows.
on for 1 second. I want to share something real quick.
Sure.
Over here is the actual roadway into Mel's Hole. Don't go up that road. Up there a ways is a fence, but you get across that fence, you're in a deep bunch of trouble. It might be that you simply disappear, period.
So that was him. And he also, I read an article on this, that he actually had cancer. And that hole cured it. The doctors don't know how. Explain that, Chris.
That is very interesting. I mean, and there also was another story I read that somebody had like a wish or a note down the hole, and supposedly that cured their disease. But it was definitely interesting. Let's do another photo here of Mel's hole, and I'll bring that up here. This shows a group of people supposedly surrounding the hole, which I think will be interesting. Let's say everybody can take a look at that photo here. Here we go. We'll do a screen share, and that's supposedly the size or the length of Mel's hole. I'm sure this is just a mock-up photo, but you can see about a dozen people standing around the hole. And if this hole does exist, and we know it does, let's just say if it does, you got to wonder what all powers does it really hold? And can a person be cured or even brought back to life in this hole? We'll never know.
Well, the news article said millions of people knew about it. So, I mean, come on. It did exist.
Yeah, it definitely did exist. And as you can see, you got a group of people standing around the hole. Now, you got to wonder, and go ahead and put it in the chat room. If anybody could have a chance to visit this hole, what questions would they ask? Or should I say, what wishes would they have for the hole? And would you want to be cured if you could and get dropped down the hole? Hi, Denise, and hi, everybody. Let's go here.
So I was looking for some of the links to the original show. Yeah, they're not out there, so it's very interesting. I found a blimp of him talking, so that's why I wanted to play it. Brian says, John, they supposedly put about 50 miles of line down. Yeah, I mean, the test that they performed it's just off the chart. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, hello. Thanks everybody for watching. And I mean, the hole is so they did all kinds of tests and never could get to the bottom of the hole. And like Grizzly says, it does exist, and I do believe it does exist as well. I would love to go visit the hole myself if I get a chance, do some photographs, even do some even do like an investigation there. I think it'd be fantastic. Mel claimed he used to be so close to professional shark fishermen and had dropped enough 5,000-yard fishing line, as we stated, down the hole, and he estimated that the hole was at least 80,000 feet deep. The hole has no echo, and his pets were afraid to approach it. He also claimed that they were in talks with Central Washington University to study the hole. It was said that neighbors used to throw garbage down the hole as well. After a neighbor threw his deceased dog down the hole, it was later spotted alive. So yeah.
Right, hold on, Chris. I got something else for him. Here we go. News article here.
Well, the hole has always been there. We've been out there for a couple of years now, and the hole has been there since we've been there. It's been there since the previous owner was there, and the previous owner there was quite elderly, and I'd say he was there for a good 30, 40 years before we moved in.
Wow.
Legend has it that there's a bottomless pit running about 9 miles down, 14.5 kilometers, west of Ellensburg, Washington. At least, that is what we get to know when a mysterious man whose records have been found missing by journalists and police departments placed a call to the host of a radio show some 27 years ago.
As usual, I brought dogs with me. They wouldn't go anywhere near the damn thing.
Talking about the mystery found on his property. If you ask some people about this mystery, they'll tell you they are very curious to find the truth about it. Ask some others, majorly experts. They laugh at you for believing such a dumb tale. This seemingly unending hole had already perplexed residents for decades. When Waters made it public, it piqued the interest of curious minds everywhere, swiftly becoming an urban legend. While some listeners questioned his frequently outrageous assertions, others were enthralled and eager for more. Either way, this mystery has fast evolved into what is now known as an urban legend, which, while many believe it doesn't exist, several others were fascinated by the story and wanted more. Do you want to know what this mystery is, the truth, falseness, and the history behind it? Then stay here and watch this.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once the government got involved, they scrubbed it somehow. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the government, of course, they want. Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot.
Yeah, they scrubbed it. He got paid off.
So we got some facts here I want to read off to everybody, some interesting facts about Mel's Hole, and I think this is going to be very... So in other claims, Waters revealed that Mel's Hole had strange effects on some everyday objects. Art Bell and his listeners hung on to every word as Waters mentioned that odd things, that material items and portable radios would start to do whatever they would start to do whenever they would near the opening of the 9-foot hole. He claims that metals would mysteriously change into other metals or substances whenever he held them near the entrance. Waters also recounted an instance where he brought his radio to the pit and set it to his favorite radio station, but instead of music, the radio put out strange unknown voices and programs and music from the past, like things from the past would start to appear and come through the radio.
Right.
Waters described many of his experiments that at the pit, and each one seemed to produce a more unsettling result than the last one. In one of his final calls, Waters described a bucket of ice, and when he lifted it out of it, he noticed that the ice was warm, but did not melt. He said it had changed into a flammable substance. The warm ice was not only time that his experiments defied the laws of science when he yelled down to the hole and he claimed there was no echo. There was also no sound after large trash items such as refrigerators or television tubes were thrown down the pit to confirm that they had hit bottom.
Ron Barber's asking, did anybody try to remote view down there?
No, but that'd be something for me to try someday because I am a remote viewer. So I could definitely try to remote view it and give an update someday. I don't know if anybody ever has, but I know I definitely could do it. The many strange occurrences that Waters recounted on Coast to Coast AM were not limited to items he lowered into the hole. Sometimes mysterious things would come out of it too. Waters described a disturbing report from one of his neighbors who had seen a blacker than black beam of light coming from the cursed pit. He explained that it had it as the light of a flashlight that threw out a beam of solid black. The talk of Mel's hole eventually got big enough that the federal government caught wind of it. As Waters recounted in a later call, he was heading towards the hole one day when a man in a suit approached him and said that he had been closed off due to a plane crash. The man told Waters that he was no longer allowed near the pit. Waters described seeing men in biohazardous suits standing behind him. Soon after, the government leased the land and gave him a generous amount. Well, we knew that from earlier in the story, but there's been so many things and stories about the hole, and we know a lot of it probably is true. I do believe that the hole is so deep that there is no end to it. And I do believe that you could put items down there and probably not even hear it, not hear them drop or hit the bottom. And one of his final
a lot of people did, and they didn't record anything hidden. So,
in one of his final calls, Mel Waters claimed that he had to come back to Washington 2 years after moving to Australia, despite a warning from the government not to return. He said police officers removed him from a bus and left him on the streets of San Francisco. 2 weeks later, he had IV marks on his arm, several missing teeth, and no memory of what transpired. Waters managed to continue to his hometown, but felt that menacing strangers were stalking him. He was told his land had been taken over by government and found that region had been erased. But that was not the end of Waters' story. He said that he found a nearly identical home in the Badlands of Nevada. This one had metal rings that extended down to the ground instead of a brick, but his experiments at the site produced similar results. And to this very day, Mel's hole is still talked about. So the urban legend has been the subject of many chat rooms, and top secret in 2005 and 2007, more people got to talking about the legend. A tribal medicine man known as Gerald R. Osborne, Red Elk, kept the legend alive when he claimed to see UFOs flying over the pit. He even suggested that it was an underground UFO base. Now, get this, a Facebook poll from the Daily Report asked people whether they believed Mel's hole was real in 2002 or 2012. Some people from the Reddit shared coordinates of possible locations and tried to get a group together to find it. In 2018, as recently as 2022, it was featured in a podcast called Astounding Legends. In May, an article on Grudge in November, like Mel's hole, this urban legend may have no end. And yes, Mel's hole is definitely real. We do know that for a fact. I want to know if I could ever find it, if I could remote view it. And I would love to be able to remote view that. and come back here and do maybe a part 2 someday and find out what my findings were, reveal my results.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they got it camouflaged. You know it.
Right. And do we have any questions in the chat room? I'm open for questions about Mel's Hole or anything.
Well, there's so many mysteries surrounding it. The steam that comes out of it, the mysterious gas, the light, UFOs, the reports. I don't know. It's fascinating how the government can take things from Google Maps and erase it. That's always fascinating. So
very fascinating.
We don't know what happened to Mel. He just disappears, just like everybody else. So I don't know. So, and yeah, what's interesting is that the guy that did the interview and the wife at the university does not exist. They went through the tax records, the university records, and voila. So who is it? So,
right.
Okay, Rebecca, thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, so we'll see what else we can find out. There's some neat articles on it, but it's just dead ends. So a lot of theories and stuff that leads to nowhere. So it's just mind blowing.
I wonder if the original Coast to Coast interviews are still available to listen to.
No, I went out there and looked at it. It's not. There's just snippets of it. That's why I went and found that one. So I just don't understand it. But from coast to coast around the world, everybody, will catch you on the next show. Godspeed. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.